Hey, what's going on, y'all? Hope everyone's having a blessed day. If you guys haven't gotten a chance to subscribe to this channel, please do so. I try to make a video once or twice a week, and what I like to do is talk about credit. In this video, I wasn't planning on making a video today, but I just got off the phone with a young lady that reached out to me seeking help. I guess she had um, negotiated a deal with a debt collection company or a collection company, and seems like what happened was she had agreed for an $89 a month payment towards a $1,200 collection bill, and the very first payment they took $1,200 out of her checking account. Now she's struggling. She's wondering, what do I do? If there's anything that I can do to help her. And we're trying to work through it. But I thought to myself, this is a perfect time for me to start talking to you guys about um, dealing with collections and dealing with debt, stuff like that, because there's so much misinformation out there in general. Um, First and foremost, I want you guys to understand, in order for a collection agency um, to collect on a debt, they have rules and regulations that they have to follow in order to collect debt from you. So, a lot of times, your ignorance to the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, um, if you don't know it, then a lot of times it's okay for them to break the rules. We see this all the time, video after video. Um, I don't want to make this a political video, but when police officers um, take advantage of the laws um, because of your ignorance, and it's the same thing when it's talking about collections. Um, the agency, the third party agency, the very first thing that I want you guys to understand is when you're dealing with a third party agency and you guys are, or they contact you or you contact them, I don't want you guys to ever admit debt because you don't really know what it is that, you know, that they have in their hands. And so what you want to do is you want to make sure that you get whatever it is that they have. So they call you and they say, hey, look, we got this debt we're collecting on. It is your obligation and your right to make sure that that debt is yours, is actually yours. And the only way you can do that is if you're able to look at the documentation, look at the signatures, and just confirm that it's your debt. That's all. Even if let's say you had a furniture um, collection, you know it's the company, and the third party collection agency is collecting in behalf of that third party, you know that you had an account with them, but you don't know if that account is 100% accurate. You don't know if they have the authority to collect that debt. And so I talk about this all the time. It will be equivalent to me walking up to you. Let's say you have a friend, Michael, right? Michael loans you money. And then I just come out of nowhere. You never met me before, hypothetically. Let's say you don't know me. And I said, hey, yeah, I'm going to need Michael's money. You're going to go, well, who are you? And that's the verification of the debt that you're looking for. You're not saying it's yours. You're not saying that it's not yours. Hey, can you send me all documentation that you have on this just so that I can review it, right? Just so that I can review. Well, we need you to start a payment plan. Start a payment plan on what? On this collection. Well, I don't know what collection you're talking about, but I will like to talk with you guys once I see all the documentation that you have, and then we can go further. They can't threaten you. They can't threaten you with lawsuits and all this other stuff. That's against the law to threaten you. The only thing that you have the right to do, and the only thing you should be doing when you come in contact with a collection agency, is having them send you all documentation. There is no conversations with no collection company without documentation, right? Just make sure that you get all documentation. Now, once you do get the documentation, right? Once documentation is in hand, you looked everything over, and it is your debt. And we're going to say hypothetically the debt is $1,000. So here's the thing. So if you listen to a lot of these credit repair gurus out here, they're going to tell you don't pay the debt. Never pay debt because it's not going to help your credit score. And I'm going to prove to you how that is absolutely 100% wrong. When you're talking about the date of last activity, right? Resetting the date of last activity is what is going to drive your FICO score up or down, right? So the more recent a collection, the more of an effect, negative effect, it's going to have on your credit score. So if you have a 5-year-old collection and that collection company resets the date of last activity to yesterday, you now have a recent collection on your credit report, even though it's really a 5-year-old collection. Now, that's illegal. They can't do that, but they do it all the time. So you have a lot of credit repair specialists that tell you, don't pay the debt, because they don't want you to reset that date of last activity. I hope you understand what I'm saying. But here's the reality. Here's what actually is supposed to happen, right? Even if you agree on a collection, I'm talking about. I'm not talking about updated or active accounts, but on a collection count, the date of last activity is never supposed to change once there's a delinquency. Once there's a delinquency, that's when the date of last activity starts. Never changes from that point. So date of last activity starts today, 30 days from now, you're 30 days late, 60 days, 90 days, collection, right? Or charge off and then collection. Well, at that point, the date of last activity is from the date that you became delinquent, right? So that's never going to change. Once it goes into collection, where you pay, whether you pay it or you don't pay it, it's never going to change the date of last activity. That stays the same. And sometimes they change it, but they're not supposed to. And a lot of times when I'm disputing items on credit reports, what I'm disputing a lot of times, if you have Identity IQ, that is one of the very few credit monitoring services that show you the date of last activity, the reporting date and the date of last activity. And so when you have third-party collection companies changing that, you can actually sue them for changing that date of last activity. Correct the date of last activity or remove it from my credit report. That is a very very effective tactic that you can use when disputing items. And a lot of times, if you guys get a chance to look at credit reports from Identity IQ, you will see same collection item has 3 different dates of last activities with the 3 different credit bureaus, right? And it happens quite often, right? Very few times will you find a credit report with 100% accuracy, even if that collection account is yours. Okay, so I want you guys to understand that first and foremost. Paying a collection does not necessarily make your account go negative. Now, if they change the date of last activity, yes, it will. But they can't change the date of last activity. Now you guys know the laws. So when you see that you negotiate a collection with a collection company, you negotiate with them to pay the debt, and you see that it affects your credit score negatively, you know exactly what happened. They changed the date of last activity. So it was a 3-year-old collection, right? Because we all know, because I've been talking about this now for quite some time, that any collection, the longer the collection has been on your credit report, the less of negative effect it's going to have on your credit report. So if it's a 3-year-old collection and it comes recent, you know that something has happened. They changed the dates. Okay, so back to what I was saying. I just want you guys to understand the date of last activity. So when you're negotiating, like let's say hypothetically you looked at all the paperwork and it's $1,000 debt, there is something called the statute of limitations. Okay, I want you guys to understand this. You know how there's judgments. How does a judgment? Let's say you owe me some money, right? You owe me some money, and I picked it up on a third-party collection. You know, I purchased your $1,000 debt for $150, right? 15 cents on the dollar, right? For $150, I purchased $1,000 debt that you owe to Capital One. Let's just say I probably shouldn't pick on them, but we're just gonna pick on a company for right now, hypothetically, Capital One. And so now I'm collecting this debt on behalf of Capital One. You asked me to verify the debt just by sending you all the documentation. I send you all the documentation. You guys look at it and you guys figure, okay, this is my debt. Now I want you to understand the negotiation process. Now if I purchase this debt for $150, right? 9 times out of 10, what I'm going to do is I'm going to slap on a whole bunch of fees and late fees, and you know, I need to pay buy my baby shoes fees, and that $1,000 debt that you actually had with Capital One, I'm gonna, after I slap my fees on there, understand it's gonna be about $3,000. Okay, so you get this bill for $3,000. So it's really important when you get the documentation, you actually see how much was the debt. How much was the debt for? Not the fees, but how much was the debt. It's important to the negotiation process. So what happens is you see what the fees are, right? You see the fees, it's $3,000, so $2,000 in fees. You look at it, and let's say it's a 5-year-old debt. Now, the older the debt, the more leverage you have. The older the debt, the more leverage you have. The statute of limitations is guidelines saying how long a company can actually go after you for that debt. Let's say you get snooty with me and I'm going to take you to court. Well, if I'm within the statute of limitations of your state, now there's going to be an oral and there's going to be a written statute of limitations, and most of the time you want to look at the written, right? So let's say some states it will say 5 years, some states will say 6 years, some say 4 years. This is a 5-year-old collection, and you live in a state 4 years. Well, I can't take you to court for that judgment because the statute of limitations has expired. You have more leverage at that point. If it's a collection past the statute of limitations, you wanna negotiate as low as possible, right? Maybe 20 to 30 cents on the dollar, right? So if it's $1,000 debt that you initially had, you want to be right around $200 to $300 offer to close this account and try to negotiate it off your credit report by doing a pay for delete. Okay. Now let's say hypothetically it's a 5-year-old debt, but you live in a state that has a 6-year-old written statute of limitations. So I still got a year to come after you, meaning I could take you to court and get a judgment saying that you owe this debt, and now I can pursue ways of garnishing your check, right? And that's the whole important thing about judgments. So if you're in that situation, you have a little less leverage, and what I would do is I would still offer less than 100% of the original debt owed, right? I might start with 50% rather than 20 to 30% on the dollar, right? So if it's $1,000, I'll say, hey, look, I'm not admitting that this debt is mine, but what I would like to do is offer you $500. I just want to get this off my credit report. I'm trying to apply for a mortgage, and I just want to get this off my credit report. Well, in that case, if they say yes, let's say they agree to it. Now, there is no exchanging of information. There is no exchanging of anything. The only thing that is exchanged at this point in time is getting it in writing, right? You have to get it in writing. You can't go by anything that these collection agencies say, because a lot of times they will lie to you. They will, just like this young lady, hey, and I wholeheartedly believe her. I do believe they had an agreement for $89. But I do believe that, and it could be Aunt May on the other line that is sweet as pie. And she's telling you, oh, well, babe, it's going to be okay. We're just going to take your $89. Don't worry about it. And she's the sweetest thing. And I'm telling you, if you take and you become gullible to that, to Aunt May gonna stick it to you if she gets an opportunity. So you never put yourself in a situation where emotions are involved in the transaction. What you want to do is keep it business and keep it professional. Meaning, if we agree on a $500 payment, right? And one thing, speaking of that $500 payment, and I apologize for jumping around, and I hope you stick with me. But what you don't want to do is do payments on a small amount of collections, right? If it's like 2,000, right? If it's like a 2,000, wait until you have the full 2,000 before you even start negotiating, right? And then even if you get it down to 500 and they come to agreement with 500, cool, I got the 500. But you always want to have cash in hand when you're negotiating. You never want to negotiate from a payment standpoint, because you have less leverage. They're less likely to take payments than they're saying, hey, look, man, I got $500 right now. I'm willing to give it to you. They say, yep. And then you go into okay, so I'm trying to apply for a mortgage. Is there any way that I can get something stating that you guys are willing to remove this from my credit report if I pay you this $500? Now, if they agree to it, like I said, you get everything in writing. You never believe or go off of word when you're dealing with negotiating with collection agencies. Okay, so understand that paying collections, I guess this is a two-part video because there's so much misinformation. I guarantee you, if you Google should you pay collections, you will find 1,000 videos saying you should not pay collections. And the reason is they have the wrong information when it comes to date of last activity. What happens in the credit repair industry is there's people that will take a course, or there will be people that repair their own credit, and because they've done these things and they truly come from a good space and heart, they're not trying to take advantage of anybody. But one thing about this industry, right? If any of you are thinking about getting into the credit repair space, you're going to learn there are a lot of rules and regulations that you just can't get around in this space, right? And learning things like the reporting date of last activity, how all these things come into play when you're going to battle with a collection agency is really, really important. That's why when people talk about, oh, I'm going to do my own disputes, it's almost irresponsible for me to send you guys templates, because sometimes if you're not willing to go through and read um, all the rules um, on what it takes to get items removed, you're putting yourself in a bad position. And I'm just trying to think of a way to be politically correct without cursing, because you're really screwing yourself when you're doing these things. So a lot of you will just send templates. Oh, this isn't mine. This isn't mine. This isn't mine. And that's not the way you do disputes. And I guess I could have a video on another day on how to actually do disputes, right? Because that used to be back in the day, man. We could send a letter that said Jiminy Crickets, and things would come off your credit report. Account number, Jiminy Crickets, and it would come off removed, right? It really wasn't a lot of fluff needed to get items removed, and it gave a lot of people a false sense of confidence in this credit repair game. Oh, I don't have to read anything because I got a 60% success rate or whatever it is, removing collections off of people's credit reports. And so they baited us. They baited us because with them removing items real easily, a lot of people came into this space thinking I can be a credit repair specialist. But in all actuality, a lot of this, like collections and stuff like that, you almost have to have a legal mind. You have to be able to research and look at what are the rules so that you're not breaking them. Because a lot of times they will break rules. They will guarantee, if you look at your credit report, I pretty much can guarantee I can see a rule broken on your credit report. And it happens all the time. I don't care who you are. I remember Rondi Ledbeth. I don't know if you guys know, he owns a credit repair company called Fortress Credit Repair. I think it's something like that. He used to have a podcast, and he used to offer people $100 if your credit is 100% correct. He'll pay you $100, and he guaranteed I can find something wrong with your credit report. Nobody's credit report is ever 100%. Heck, my middle name was changed on my credit report. They had me working for a company that I never knew. I lived at an address that I never lived at. I had what is that? A utility bill that I don't even know what that is. And matter of fact, that utility bill is in a company's name that I can't even get utilities where I'm from, right? There's 2 utility companies, and I don't even know how you can't even get that utility company where I live, right? And so how did that get on my credit report? But you have these things that come up on a consistent basis on a credit report that when you're disputing, you have to know how to go about disputing. And it's factual disputing. Even if the account is 100% yours, if it's not 100% accurate, it has to be removed. And I just want you guys to understand a few things from this video. Okay, so I'm gonna wrap it up, but I just want to go over some of the things that I said and make sure that I'm clear. When you guys are negotiating with these collection companies, get everything in writing. Okay, get everything in writing. Always negotiate to your strengths. Meaning, if you know that the collection is past the statute of limitations, and I want everyone that is watching this video, right? Everyone that's watching this video, I want you guys to go in, research your statute of limitations for collections in your state, okay? And I want you guys to understand that before it doesn't matter even if you have no collections. If you're watching this channel, if you're watching this video, just go research it. Learn the statute of limitation. Look at your date of last activity. If it doesn't show it, try and find out what's your date of last activity. Look at your credit report. Make sure everything on your credit report is 100% accurate. And those things that are not 100% accurate, and I'm talking about your open date, all right? And when you're disputing, you just write something really simple. You don't have to put a lot of legal jargon in your dispute letters. Account number, such and such, open date inaccurate, please correct or remove from credit report. That's it. Next account, right? Such and such, date of last activity inaccurate, please correct or remove from my credit report. And you just go down and you list exactly what's wrong with each account. If it's incorrect, they have to correct it or remove it. That's it. They only have two options: correct it or remove it. And if they don't know what the open date is, they have to remove it, right? Balance is inaccurate on account, please correct a 30-day late, right? A lot of times when you get a 30-day late, the month that you're late, right? The month that you're late is not the actual date that you were late, right? So that might be something that you guys will say, hey, was not late in this month, please correct or remove it, right? And you're just going through your credit report doing these things, and that's what you're disputing. You're disputing items that are inaccurate on your credit report. You're not saying, hey, this account isn't mine, because that could put you in a potential problem. That could put you in a situation where now you're sitting there defending your actions. And you want to be on the offense when you're talking about disputes, but you want to do it from the standpoint where you got a game plan and you understand the rules and regulations to this whole disputing process, this whole negotiating with collection companies process. All right, so I appreciate your time. I just wanted to, stop in, give you guys some knowledge. I don't know. I think I made a video something close to this, but I just wanted to touch bases with you guys. If you guys haven't gotten a chance to subscribe to this channel, please do so. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. And I'm going to catch you guys on the next one. You guys have a blessed day. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.